This is a quick overview video of changing out pads on, in my case, 2010 Toyota 4Runner. Probably the same applies to 2011, 12, and 13 year models. This is a different brake setup than I've seen in the past. Back in the old days, we had shoes and drums. Then it got replaced with pads and rotors, usually with just one caliper piston. And looks like on this new set of brakes, 2010 was the first year of Generation 5 4Runners, and I've never seen this kind of brake setup, but I really like it. So I'm gonna kind of go over it real quick. I'm not gonna take it all apart, but I'm going to kind of overview how the brake system works. First off, if you are undoing any bolts on here and you're only changing on the pads, stop what you're doing and make sure that you understand how the brake is set up, because you don't need to take any bolts off. The only thing that you would have to take off would be the lug nuts. In this case, I took them off and I reattached them to make sure that the rotor stays in place and doesn't rattle on me when I take the pads out. So the system itself, the new system itself on a brake is on this brakes is much easier than what it used to be with just one pad. Now you have, or rather with one piston, now you have 4 pistons. You know, top, bottom, forward, rear, however you want to call it. You still have one input line for the hydraulic pressure. It is a metal line. It is not a rubber line. The older models, you would take a caliper that would hold in place the pads, and what they used to tell you is use a wire hanger to hang it in a wheel well somewhere so it wouldn't damage this line. So the first giveaway in the fact that you don't need to take anything off is this metal brake line. There's a bracket up here that holds this metal line in place. Don't take it off, because there's a wire that runs in here for the ABS and traction control system. And if you break this wire, or if you break the harness, the electrical harness down there, you could run into all sorts of problems. And it can increase the cost of the job quite a bit. So as far as the pads go, the new pads really should be very easy to change. You would take the pad out and then you put the new one in. That's really that simple. There's a couple of steps involved in between, but so here I got a new pad. It's not a Toyota pad. I don't know. I tried to get something a little better than the Toyota pad. So if you actually look at the pad itself, it really should just pretty much slide right in there. You take the old one out, you put the new one in. Of course, before you take the old one out, there's a couple of things you have to do. First, you have to pull out this pins right here. In my case, I'm going to reuse the old ones. You can buy brand new kits too, but the old ones will work just fine. Before you take the pins out, there's a metal wire right here that secures it. It's really kind of like a cutter pin and goes through the end of this pin, and it's secured to the bracket using this little L-shaped connector here that goes through a hole. My brand new brakes came with just a basic cutter pin. I'm not going to use it. I'm actually going to reuse this guy. Once the pins come out, there's a little bracket right here. You should have got a new one if you bought some brakes, or you can order it as a kit. Once these pins are out, you put the new ones in, or reused pins in. Before you put them in, of course, you want to make sure that this new bracket, or the one you're reusing, is in place, and you essentially just put the pins back in and you secure them in the back here. So like I said, pad comes out, new one goes in. One little step is the actual cylinders themselves. You will have to compress them a little bit, so that way the new thicker pad fills in. And that's it. That's all there's to it.